Good afternoon. I know for myself, attending conferences, this is the graveyard slot after lunch. People start falling asleep. I was diagnosed with, we don't know what it causes it, Parkinson's, sometimes also referred to as idiopathic. And why the tulips? That's where I came from. Did you know that the pesticides that may be used on tulips and hyacinths, etc., which I have been extensively exposed to, could be one of the causes of my Parkinson's? So, what would I be talking about? I'm not going to talk this whole list. I'm going to talk a bit about what living with Parkinson's means for me, what research means for me, and how people can be involved. But a key question that plays through this for a person living with Parkinson's is, how am I being defined? I'm a landscape architect. I'm not a person with Parkinson's. That's how I want to be defined. I am a landscape architect. How long can I keep that up? How long will I be able to see myself of that, first and foremost? You need to get involved. Is there any advantage in having Parkinson's? Yes, two. I can now join the fast lane at airports, and even when I want to see the golf in St. Andrews, my son-in-law said, "You've got Parkinson's, we're going that way." And we zipped through past 5,000 people who were queuing. Yeah, it's quite nice. Also, if you know Parkinson's, you've got a blank expression, so I am brilliant at poker. But the rest I can do without. The farting, the sticking, the soft voice, not being able to read your handwriting, you name it. Getting stuck by freezing on a zebra crossing is no fun. And this starts when you are being diagnosed. From diagnosis to death, I have Parkinson's. I presented a fascinating history in the consultant who diagnosed me. Fascinating, not fascinating to me, I can tell you. Extrapyramidal syndrome, what is that? Actually, when I read it this morning, I thought, I've never looked it up. I still don't know what it is. Most likely cause. Is a syndrome a cause of Parkinson's? I don't know. And I had written to him in 2006, because I was young. It gave me some concern. Yeah, it gave me a lot of concern. I didn't talk about it for the next 6 years. Until I began to realize we must do something. We need to get involved in research. We need to engage. We need to participate. We need to join trials. And I started off with fundraising. When I was going to turn 60, I said I want to raise X amount of money for Parkinson's research because there's not enough of that done. And that put yourself in a position of moving, of being proactive. From that flowed getting involved in research, the Research Support Network, the Dundee Research Interest Group, other committees, etc. And I was a lay reviewer of some grant applications. But are there obstacles? Yeah, there are certain obstacles. One is you need to be an acronym expert. I give you 10 out of 10 if you know without any fail what all these acronyms mean. Parkinson's UK, people and patient involvement, patient engagement council, patient advisory group, patient-focused medicine development. Here we go. University of Dundee Medical Research Council Protein Phosphorylation and Ubiquitination Unit. I keep on saying to Dario, you've got to change that name. European Patient Academy for Therapeutic Innovation. I'm a fellow of that. And Alliance of Science Across Parkinson's. Now the latter is quite important because they join hands. What are the difficulties? Well, you as scientists have got certain skills that I certainly not have. I haven't got the knowledge, I haven't got the skills. Language. How can we talk about the same thing and you speak a different language than I do? There's not a Dutch person in the room. We can speak Dutch, but the rest of you won't understand us. Confidence. Can we have confidence in our views or not? My illness continues to degenerate, or I'm continuing to be degenerate. So I'm getting worse. So I might be less able. Did I do something? I may be less able to continue to do some of the activities that I currently can. And as I said, there's inequality, but it's a type of inequality that is not the same as you commonly use in social sciences. Social sciences. It's an inequality because I'm working as a landscape architect still full time. I haven't got a full-time research job. Your job as researcher is you're working full-time, and my time is therefore disproportionately low. And I think this is a real issue for research and participation of people with the illness, that inequality. Now, patients are at the heart of everything we do. I'm sick of reading that, because it's not true. No shareholders are in the context of pharma, a lot. And I'm not saying there's not a lot of good things happening, of course there is. But I have certainly experienced that patients are not at the heart of everything we do. Because a 4-hour meeting is arranged, and people with MS can't sit still for 4 hours. No drinks are arranged, no understanding of the illness in arranging things. And if we say, can we meet the board? No, we have a special department for patient involvement. It's the board I want to talk to, because if they don't buy into it, then it's only the special department. Stimulating, though, is the fantastic amount of people, number of people who are very positive, working their socks off to help us cure Parkinson, or arrest it, or stop it, or slow it down, or whatever. There are thousands of scientists doing that. But sadly, again, some don't actually want to share that information because of the way the scientific world is set up. Waiting for your paper to be published in The Lancet is worth a lot in your career. Let's face it, it's the truth. But when we all had COVID, why did the scientists win? Why did we sort it? One, we knew it was a vaccine. We knew it was a virus. So that was a good starting point. Two, it happened everywhere across the globe. So everybody had similar interest. And three, there was a real urgency because everybody was under threat. That's why the scientists worked together. And there was different arguments about commercial. Remember it? AstraZeneca versus Pfizer versus whoever. Did you get an AstraZeneca or did you get a Pfizer? Commercial aspects. We can't go about that. The Alliance of Science across Parkinson's, however, which is a huge research program funding, I believe, 22 grants of $27 million each, of which one is held in Dundee, is particularly contingent on the commitment of the scientists to work together. And that I find really very stimulating. So why should we be involved in your research? Because you will never know what it feels like to have Parkinson's. Why should I be placing trust in you? It's because I will never know how hard you work and how committed you are and how you go about trying to solve this issue. We are partners, but we have different jobs. You have a research job, I'm a landscape architect. The best way to sum this up is quoting from Caitlin Brown. She was a student from Yale. She came over to Dundee, and she was sponsored by the Dundee Research Interest Group because we raise money for local connections, particularly for summer placements of students. Caitlin said, "Time's up." She didn't say that. I say thank you, Caitlin. Thanks very much.